Hey traders, Mike Katz here with 7 Points Capital, bringing you today's trader takeaways. And today the market, we had some volume and the SPY had a little bit of range, but nothing crazy. But there was a decent day overall on the desk. And the spiders we can see were hanging out around 280-ish after making some higher highs. And then we'll see if we get a pullback, test 274, or if we end up drifting higher. We had a few earnings today that were kind of contributing to the volatility of individual names mostly, not a whole lot going on in the indices. And it was pretty decent action today as far as those individual names, that is. So spiders drifted lower towards the close, and that was pretty good. And then a couple of low price stocks. One I traded in was SAEX. As soon as I saw this thing pre-market, I remembered that I traded it, I think it was a few weeks ago, and it had gapped up north of 3 and faded hard all day. And you can see that on the daily. This thing never holds gains. And then this one, intraday, was pretty much the same. You could see that had a couple of pops early in the morning. And, if I didn't have such high conviction in this one, I might have been shaken out of it. But here, let's look at my executions. I started in small, and as it started going higher, I got bigger because I only do this with trash names. I will not. I try not to add to losing positions, and I shouldn't be adding to losing positions. And most of the time, I'm a good boy, and I don't do it. Sometimes I'll catch myself doing it, but basically, in a trash name, I don't mind doing it versus a specific level I'm trading against. That way, I know where I'm getting out, and I add as I kind of goes up and becomes more expensive for such a trash name. So this was pretty much the same. Went higher, covered into the first wash. At this point, I thought it was over. So here's what was going on. I thought it was after a big wash like this. I felt that it couldn't reclaim it after a big drop. And I basically it looked like it was going to curl back down, and I got back in. And then it shot up higher. So it tricked me a couple of times, and then I did the same thing here. When I had a pretty big drop, I covered some, thinking it'll go back higher. And then when it looked like over here was going to curl back down, I would get back in a little bit lower than where I covered some, and then it would go higher. So you know what? I said, I'm fully loaded. I got a pretty big position, and I will just hang out, and I'm not going to try to trade around a core. I'm not going to try to recycle shares because I'm not reading it right. How do I know I'm not reading it right? Because over here I bought some and I reshorted lower, not by a lot, but lower, and then it pops up. And then I covered some here, and then I reshorted lower. So that was my cue saying, you know what, you're not reading it well. Let's see if it wants to fade into the end of the day. And that's pretty much what I did. I kind of sat back. When it looked like it was weaker, I got even bigger, and then just did a lot of covering near the close. And I decided not to hold it overnight. Wasn't a whole lot of meat on the bone left, maybe another 20, 30 cents. I figured let me leave it alone and move on. So that was pretty good. This one ended up being my best symbol on the day. What else we have here? We have Netflix. That was my second best symbol. And we can see on earnings, this thing gapped down pretty big and squeezed hard all day, all the way up to 380, 385, I think was the high. And then the next 3 days, basically, it's just been down, down, down. It doesn't look like a lot, but it's down 25 points in 3 days. So there's been some good action on the short side in Netflix. And today I was focused on the short side. And then midday I had to step out for a couple hours. And this is the one that I didn't stay with. And you can see that I did miss out on quite a bit here for the rest of the day. I didn't end up going back in, but I was trading at this 370 level, and I covered some into 369 a little bit, put it back on a retest of 70, and then when it made this lower high and couldn't hold, we got a nice drop, covered some, just recycling shares, put it back out, covered some, and then right here, 368, when it reclaimed 368, I left it alone, bad timing, And even though I had to step out, I could have just let the stop do its thing and then captured a lot more of this. But today, this was my second best symbol. And even though I left quite a bit on the table. So Netflix looks weak. I gave back, let's see, from 343, 344 was a low here. Went up 40 points, and now we've sold off 25 points. So a little more than 50%. Will be interesting to see how this behaves. Amazon reports soon. And I think we have some decent names coming up, and there should be some pretty good action. And what else did I trade today? I traded some SKX. That was pretty good. And SKX, this thing popped up. So I think I tried a short here at 25, see if it fails, and it reclaimed it. So I got out, tried to short again at 26, and that one worked pretty well. But I was able to capture a decent move back, and then realized that it's starting to flag, and the range is getting tighter, and the volume is dropping, and everybody was probably shorting this, thinking it should be an unwind. Instead, there was a buyer on the tape. So I was able to capture a decent amount of this move up into the close on the long side, and I was able to get pretty decent size because the range was contracting and the stop's closer. So I was able to catch a decent move here. And in swing, I put some on below 26, and we'll see if it starts to work. I think this thing can potentially head higher, but my risk is pretty tight, and I'll get bigger if it starts to work next week. So I have a start in swing, and that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to earnings next week. I know I've been saying that quite often recently, but we're starting to get into it. More and more names are going to be reporting. Hopefully we get some volatility, and this week was pretty decent. Some good action. Hopefully everybody banked pretty well, and I want to wish you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy, and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, and check out our other contents. Thank you guys for watching. Mike Katz, 7 Points Capital.